So this quality of concentration, um, again, is very fundamental to, I don't want to maybe use the word success. It's difficult to find the right word, but I guess you'll know what I mean if I talk about, progress or, because there is a sense in which spiritual practice, it's best not to get too fixated on a goal that we're trying to achieve. It's that can get in our way somehow. But nevertheless, we do experience some shift, as the deeper we go in our practice. And one of the most critical factors is concentration. It is the difference between, a relatively shallow experience coming out of our practice and a really deep transformation, which is ultimately, that is what's possible. And that is what I kind of feel that is what motivates us. Anyone who, becomes seriously sort of gravitates towards a spiritual path, towards meditation. Yes, there are temporary benefits of relaxation or whatever, but the deeper we go, the more we recognize what we are looking for is that kind of transformation of our probably our relationship to ourselves and to others, really. But our experience deepening, becoming progressively free from unhelpful, counterproductive mental states and emotions that we experience that create problems, and gaining a level of insight into life and who we are and why we're here. So, last week I said the key was commitment. This week I'm kind of saying it's concentration, but there's a relationship because yes, concentration is the critical factor in a way. But if you ask, well, what is the critical factor for that? What actually the most important cause, the most important thing that we need in order to develop concentration is precisely that commitment. So we also need, to understand the techniques and so on, and understand what gets in our way. So we had a little bit of a look at that. But fundamentally, if we're doing serious spiritual work, our concentration will improve. Our peace of mind will improve as well. And that may not be apparent for a while because that work it's not easy, and we often have to go through quite a bit of difficulty, quite a bit of period of maybe almost say struggle, because we are undoing the unhelpful conditioning from the past. So it may be some time before we have an experience of clear, calm concentration. That may take some time. And it's helpful to know that because then that will help us to not give up. It's normal because we have to process a certain amount of stuff. We have to build some solidity in our practice and in our life as well. But then that concentration begins to manifest. And if we never develop it, well, then we're kind of at the mercy of the winds, are we not? If our mind can be blown off at any moment in any direction, we don't really have control of our mind, and therefore we don't have control of our life. If we want to, develop qualities like real compassion, so everyone has compassion. We all have that quality, but it's not reliable, is it? We have that, we have compassion towards certain people in certain situations, in certain states of mind, on certain days. So we don't have that consistency in who we are, actually. Who we are just kind of drifts about from here to there and everywhere. And so we're not really going anywhere. We're going off to here and then over there and back here and over there again, and not really getting anywhere. And what enables us to really get somewhere is when we have some real concentration. Playing the piano, that's a good example. So, we did some meditation, and especially in the Buddhist world, or in the world of spiritual practice more generally, we associate concentration with meditation. And of course, that is perhaps that is, concentration par excellence. That's what meditation is, in a way, is really all about. We don't need to do meditation if we didn't need to develop concentration. Concentration just means keeping the mind on one track. I want to think about compassion, or I want to, generate compassion. Then if my mind is wandering all over the place, it's just never going to happen. And especially when it comes to the insight aspect of the practice, which we'll talk about next week. We can learn a lot of Buddhist theory, Buddhist philosophy, and that's good. But until we have concentration, we cannot use that knowledge to really change our mind, to transform our mind, to free ourselves from, I'm going to use the word enslavement, to negative emotional states, anger and resentment, bitterness, fear, anxiety, jealousy, compulsive attachment. That makes us very miserable. And in general, we're not free, we're not in control. So really, I'm saying all this just to kind of underline the point that it's worthwhile doing this work, because it is a lot of work for most of us. And it's very easy to get discouraged, as we see. We need to practice consistently, often for years. So it's important to, as I mentioned, earlier on in the discussion, to register, to take note of the fact that progress has been made. Oh yeah, I don't get angry as often as I did 2 years ago. I noticed this actually about 25, maybe, almost 30 years ago, actually. I remember there was a period when, I'd been kind of going through quite a difficult time in my life, and was a bit fragile, I guess, a bit, and as a result of that fragility, this sort of, I guess I'd kind of had a burnout, bit of a burnout. So I was very subject to losing my temper. I was kind of which was it's not a sign of being very strong and fierce. You know, it's a sign of being quite weak and vulnerable. And then that was the case. And I would, there was a period when I would almost invariably, sometime during the day, I would lose my temper. But what I noticed was, I mean, I wasn't doing very regular meditation at the time, but if I meditated in the morning, I usually didn't lose my temper that day. And it was very kind of evident because I was, working on building up consistency in my meditation practice. I was doing it like maybe 3-4 days a week, and then the other days I wasn't doing it. And so it was very obvious and very clear. Oh, okay. And the thought that I had about it, actually, is quite interesting, was, okay, well, I need to do my meditation every day. Does that make me a meditation addict? And I thought, well, maybe, but actually, maybe that's not a bad thing. So, yeah, I'm going to have to pause for a moment here because I have to let my cat in. Sorry. Right. So another thing that I want to say about it is that often the benefits seem to be rather invisible. We don't, it's quite rare that we get this beautiful state of deep peace and timelessness and so on. It happens sometimes, as Ellie was saying, and that's wonderful. And I don't think I have mentioned this in this group before. Maybe I have, but I was on a meditation retreat once, and the teacher, retailed the story of when he was on a retreat with some teacher, I think was from the Theravada tradition, somebody from maybe Sri Lanka or Thailand or something, and this monk who was leading this retreat. And somebody asked him this question. He said, well, what can we do, to maintain this state of mind that we've established in the retreat after we leave? And the teacher who was, who was telling the story, said, and he gave one of the clearest answers I've ever heard. He said, very clear answer. He said, "You cannot, you can't do it." So, we might have this dream that, oh yeah, I'm going to practice Buddhism for a few years, and then I'm going to have complete sort of this state of tranquil, deep concentration all of the time in my life. So it isn't really like that, but nevertheless, it's extremely valuable. Even when we think, I've been practicing for years and I've made very little progress, actually ask other people who've known you over that period whether they think you've made progress, because they will be able to see it much more easily. You may be aware of, there's all these disturbing thoughts that go on still, and, I feel like I'm no better than I was. But that's probably not true. And yeah. But nevertheless, I do want to emphasize, because it sometimes can get lost, the fact that we can develop concentration. We can do it. And it's a bit of a tricky one to talk about, because I think it needs to be skillfully taught. And we can know the theory and still not be able to do it. So it's very, very helpful to look around and find teachings, whether they're on the internet or, obviously very good to go and, do a short course or a retreat that's guided by somebody that you have confidence, that you feel, when you hear that, when you listen to their teachings, that you begin to tune into this state of stillness. Because, many teachers, I mean, it's very much an individual thing for one point. You know, one teacher may work very well for one person and not at all for another. So you need to sort of look around and see, you know, which teachers that kind of work for you. You know, when I hear this person speaking about meditation or leading a meditation, then I do, you know, experience that bit of stillness, and then go and kind of get more of that. Go for a weekend course or a week's course or whatever, or a retreat, or use teachings from the internet, whatever. But that's very helpful because it's not just a matter of certain words being said. It's also a matter of the fact that the energy of the teacher the energy of his or her own meditation comes through in the teaching, and you resonate with it. It's like two violins. I don't know if you'll probably you all know. If you have two violins, you put two violins on a table and they're tuned correctly, and you play a note on one violin and then you stop the note with your hand, the other violin is sounding. And we are like that. So you may find that you resonate literally, with certain kind of teaching and certain kind of teaching. And as you know, Ellie gave us this great example. It's not always a meditation that enables us to tune into that deeper state. So things like drawing and painting, weaving, these activities that stimulate the right side of the brain, so that the thinking side, the left side, then it tends to just quieten down because we're using our concentration with the right side, and that brings in this quality of stillness. But there are different kinds of concentration as well, and especially in the Tibetan tradition that we follow at Jamyang Center Leads, using the analytical mind, the conceptual mind, is quite much emphasized as well. So we can both sides, the left and right side of the brain as well. But I do recommend the meditation on the breathing that we did. And I'm going to suggest as an experiment to really try and work with that over the coming week. But you might want to, look at something else, another activity. In fact, and that's what I'm going to suggest as the exercise. You can choose either to do the meditation every day or another activity that you find helps you to get into a state of clear concentration, and see what effect that has over the course of the week. But again, throughout this course, I'm wanting to stimulate you to kind of get a taste of these different qualities and see, how they can be beneficial, how they can help you to get where you want to go in your life, and to take away that sense of, okay, this is my spiritual compass. This is what, if I keep with this, if I maintain some consistency of working on these 6 qualities or whatever, you can make your own version, doesn't matter. But the really important thing is consistency over time. And it's through that you will develop that real concentration. Concentration is an extremely powerful state of mind. So you might, earlier in the course, we talked about looking at what are my goals in life, and you might kind of feel there's a big kind of gulf between what you would like to be able to do in your life and what you feel you're capable of. but that gulf can be closed, and the main quality that closes that gap between my, my real potential and what I think, what I feel that I'm able to do now, that is concentration. Concentration that enables us to reach our real potential. So, yeah, it's worth putting in some effort. The main message from today. Thank you.